Hi YouTube! So today is September 25th, 2015, and today I'm going to be doing a quick unboxing video of Apple's newly released iPhone 6s series phones. So in the usual Apple manner, every year they release a new iteration of their iPhone, and so of course 2015 marks the year of the 6s series phone. I just got this in the mail like 5 minutes ago, and it's my own personal phone that I'm going to replace my old aging iPhone 4S 32 gig edition. So this iPhone 6s here is actually the Plus edition, so it's got the 5.5-inch screen. It's also in the new rose gold color that was made available this year, and it also has a 128 gigabyte internal storage. And I'll get into the reasons why I bought such an expensive phone here shortly. So inside the box, no surprises. Apple packs all their phones very consistently since the initial iPhone was released way back, I believe in 2007, 2008, I don't even remember. But this is what the phone looks like. You can see here the usual Apple manner that it's got all this protective wrap around it so there's no scratches. And you can see here, this is what that rose gold looks like in the sunlight. It is definitely got a pink undertone or a pink hue to it, but I wouldn't say that it's insanely pink like how Apple's website makes it look. I actually don't mind it. I did actually choose this color myself because it's trendy. So inside we've got our iPhone insert. As you can see here, starting with the iPhone 6 series of phones, they actually had to put a cutout here inside the holding tray. And the reason why is that the iPhone, oddly enough, and I don't quite get it, is that they've got this protrusion sticking out here, on the camera, from the back of the phone. They couldn't actually flush mount it, and I suspect it's because of the number of filters and elements that they needed to make the camera as good as it is. So that's why there's that cutout. Inside here we've got our Apple Literature insert, which of course, no surprise, contains our SIM card removal key. Underneath that, we've got our lightning dock cable, or lightning connection cable, USB, a standard issue 1 amp AC to USB charger, which actually kind of surprises me because I always was in the impression that the iPhone 6 series and up phones had a really large capacity battery that would require a charger more suited for something like an iPad, like 2 amps or at least 1.2 amps, but this is actually a 1 amp charger. We've also got our standard issue sort of second generation or improved version of our Apple earbud phones with the integrated microphone and volume control and well, anyway, the Apple headphone set. Let's talk about some of the hardware differences from last year's versus today's. If you look at the front of this iPhone, you'd be really hard pressed to tell if it was actually an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 6s. And the only giveaway here, at least in my version, is the fact that my iPhone here is in the new rose gold color, which has been made available this year. It doesn't really come to me as a surprise that rose gold is the color for a phone because Apple Watches that were released this past spring came in that color, so big shocker there. As far as dimensions go, they're almost exactly the same. Apple actually, their iPhones are 0.01 inches thicker than last year's version, and the reason why is that Apple has made some changes to the chassis to avoid the bend gate issue. Now, for those that don't know what bend gate is, last year when iPhone 6 was released, users were actually complaining that the chassis was able to bend and it would actually separate the capacitive touchscreen away from the aluminum chassis. And that was just because of the material that Apple was using and the fact that the phone was so big, and also there was a lack of reinforcement in the way how the phone's layout was sort of designed. And so, of course, Apple learns from their mistakes and use a much harder and stronger material, which of course results in a slightly thicker phone. So as far as processing power is concerned, the new iPhone uses an A9 processor that has up to 2 gigabytes of system memory versus the A8 processor of last year's phone with 1 gigabyte of system memory. Of course, they have the corresponding M9 and M8 processors, so that should be no shocker to anyone. Bluetooth 4.2 versus Bluetooth 4 of the iPhone 6. But most importantly, I think the biggest thing that I really like about the new iPhone 6s and why I waited for as long as I did for the upgrade was that I always hated the front FaceTime camera on the previous iPhones. They were not high enough resolution to my satisfaction, and I just, even if you ever did a selfie, which I don't do, but those that have played around with my phone says that, geez, I wish this phone had a better camera. Well, we get a spec bump here from 1.2 megapixels up to 5, that's a huge difference in resolution. And then conversely, on the back of the phone, the historically excellent 8 megapixel camera sensor has been bumped up to 12, and Apple has actually provided some samples of the quality of the new camera, and I have to say it's very impressive. The new camera, I've noticed in sample images on the internet, allow images with complex tonalities and shadowing and highlights to be captured far more accurately and more realistically. Like sort of more high-end cameras. So, that's a welcome change, especially myself. I'm a hobbyist videographer and a hobbyist photographer. The camera also now enables this phone to do 4K video, which is fantastic, and it's also the reason why I bought the 120 gigabyte version of this phone. Is it worth it to upgrade if you have an iPhone 5s or an iPhone 6? Probably not. I personally wouldn't if I were you, just because what does the iPhone 6s offer differently than the last 2 generations of phones? The only reason why I've decided to upgrade now is because, well, I came from an iPhone 4S, and the fact that I'm going to a 5.5-inch screen compared to the puny little 3.5-inch screen of the iPhone 4S. So all things considered, I paid $1,400 for this. I'll probably sell my unlocked iPhone 4S for about $150 in today's dollars. So yeah, this phone's insanely expensive, but I think it'll be a good, nice, and welcomed change in our household. So that's all I've got for the iPhone 6s Plus. I hope you found this video useful and informative, and certainly stay tuned on my channel. Subscribe if you can, because I'm sure I'll be doing some video and photography tests and even possibly some performance tests against some older iPhones if I could get my hands on them. Thanks for watching.